Just a heads up, if you care about the game portion, skip to the timestamp below. I've been on for like, what, almost 2 years? I know I had fans that really liked my content, so I feel like I owe an explanation and an apology for disappearing. Well, this is hard to break for all the people that like my videos. The Parkour is dead. It's like 5 feet under and decomposed, it just ain't coming back. I know there's some people that will be upset about that because I know some people will love for it to be back, but I just want to say I don't want to risk my mental health to be an internet personality like I was. Being the parakeet was painful to say the least. I felt horrible doing those videos. I had to stick to a schedule, had to keep following rules and try to be cool with the community, gain followers and all. I was putting a ton of effort and time into those videos for no payoff, and some of them were just absolute cringe. I felt forced to act in a way in the videos, and in the end, I felt awful, especially because no one knew me as me, everyone just knew me as the parakeet, and that just sucks. I know that by being a YouTuber, you're automatically not seen as you, but as your YouTube character, but it just really got to me and couldn't handle it anymore. Right now, I feel like being more myself rather than this. I did a lot of mistakes during my old YouTube times, especially with that one video. We don't talk about that video. I feel honestly embarrassed for my old videos. They're still up, but I hate them so much. I was just a dumb 16-year-old and I grew out of my stupidity from back then. So from now on, I'm picking a new username, gonna work around all the bullshit I did wrong. I don't plan to upload often because I'm not too interested. I'm back because of a plan I had to release over my previous Untitled Chapter video. And speaking of which... Hello darkness, my old friend. Alright, my old Untitled Freeman video, I cringe every time I see it. I've been told by all my friends that my Untitled Freeman video was the best video I made, which I honestly disagree. I'm not gonna lie, it was alright, but it was bad overall. Look, we don't say its name, I think even that video was better. The Untitled Freeman was horribly constructed, faulty points, really bad presentation. Also, what was my mic back then? Jesus. My point is, that video could have been so much better. And that's why I'm here now. I never played the game back then, and I feel like it's wrong for me to review something that I didn't experience. I judged it by surface value. I honestly think Untitled Freeman is an interesting case study of how to not make a game. It's baffling, but at the same time, it's a game I really wanted to be good. I honestly want to like Untitled Freeman. I like the idea, but I hate the execution. It could have been so much better. I think Untitled Freeman is the result of those projects that you start working on and never really get a vision of it, so it's just constantly rewritten and remade, so it just ends up a mess. A pile of ideas and things that never truly fit together or are fully constructed. That's exactly what this game is. And it's very apparent that Frank had an idea and had no clue on how to make it go into picture. I think the biggest red flag on this game is that it's paid. If it was for free, then who cares? I play 5 minutes, get bored, move on. Luckily I bought it on sale, so I didn't pay the insane $35 price at the time, but even for $10, it wasn't even close to worth it. Here's just good games you can buy with that money. Before we get into it, I do want to point out that I won't be heavily comparing the game to Half-Life 2 or anything. I think that's a wrong thing to do. It's like judging the universe of Metro 2033 by comparing it to the 2033 books. It's written by a whole bunch of different authors with different stories set in the same universe as the main books. Untitled Freeman is the same, and both of these I think should be judged on its own and not be under its parent shadow. I've heard a lot of people saying how this is trying to be episode 3. No, it isn't, and to me it doesn't even feel as if it was. It just feels like its own thing on the side, not trying to top the wedding cake. A lot of people I've seen judge the game like that, only comparing to Half-Life. I won't be raging about things just because Half-Life did better. I'll be judging the game on its own merits and accomplishments. Now, without further ado, let's talk about the game itself. The game somehow plays terrible. The controls, the weapons, even although the maps are awful. I really want to talk about these two separately, but the map design is so bad that it stops being unpleasing to be in the map to straight up an obstacle as a whole. First off, the game gives you a lot of weapons, but I honestly see no need to have so many. 5 different SMGs, 5 different handguns, etc, etc. Why even bother? It's just annoying, especially since they're mostly all the same. They just become a bowl of oatmeal with milk that's been there for too long. It's nothing but a mishmash of the same goo. And the only two guns that I ended up enjoying using were the sniper for letting me zoom to everyone's face, and the melee for being a 2-hit kill on everything. Seriously, you can clear an entire map with only the melee. By the way, the game does not have a flashlight. Instead, it's a night vision, which is awful. When I first got it, I didn't even notice and started walking around aimlessly, just lost in the dark until I noticed a weapon I didn't have before. It's bad. Having to stop and find a weapon is annoying in a game like this. It'd be much better if you could just press F and turn it on. Also, the game has a really weird bug that your inventory keeps changing between stages. For example, I got an axe in this stage. The next map it's gone. And so is the wrench that I had. Alright, no biggie. But the next map, the wrench is back, but not the axe. It keeps changing without context, and while on the topic, your hands keep also changing between maps. I completely understand that your clothing changes in the game and so does your hands, which props to them for such a neat detail, but it keeps glitching and going back to the original hand from the beginning of the game. I have no idea how. Not all people complain about the dashing when you crouch, and even though it is annoying, it isn't as annoying as people say it is. The game also has proning for no reason. You only ever use it a handful of times, going to vents or tight spaces, but why? It could have been a normal crouching area with a proning that's yet another key, and it's used so rarely that I forget it exists. And speaking of which, there's also the parkour. At least the proning, there's some uses. The parkour could have been removed entirely and would have been way better off as a ladder or some platforms to jump on. For example, this wide open door. At first I dismissed it as some decoration, but in reality I need to put my weapon away, which, spoiler alert, is not binded. You have to bind it yourself, then jump into that wall and go into the next area. Or when you just stumble across this area with a pipe and you can't progress. The only way to progress is by putting your gun away, then jump onto the pipe and you start climbing. You could replace both of these with a ladder and it would be so much better. And these mechanics are also introduced very poorly. Hell, everything in the game is introduced very poorly. Instead of having a smooth and slow learning curve, showing you things, giving you a chance to try it out, teaching you how to use it in a clever and silent way, no, it just throws it at you. The proning, it just shows you this. My first instinct is to crouch, but not in this spot. And it's not like the game shows you a prompt telling you what to do. No, it just throws it at you and expects you to know what you're supposed to do with a new mechanic. Or the pipes. It's the first time you need parkour in the game and there's no clue what you need to do. And this is basically how the game teaches you everything. New weapons, new mechanics, and everything. It just throws it at you. And most things that I already know how to do is my knowledge from Half-Life 2. So the game either does a terrible job at teaching or relies you already knowing how to do these things from other games. It would have been so much better, at least a prompt telling you what key to press and what it does. Now to the maps. I can see that there was effort put into these, that someone actually sat down, thought these out, modeled all of this and did their best. But it still came out terrible. Maps in this game are pointless. They're basically hallways, but huge with a lot of empty space. It's like playing those Ichigo horror games that think being an open, empty area is scary and smart, where in reality it's annoying and overwhelming. Best way to put into words the experience: in a Black Mesa stage, you walk into this huge room with 4 extra sessions. I went to each session and there was nothing. No ammo, no guns, not even mech kits. Basically, this is all pointless, and all that matters is the huge door in the room. Another example, I walked into a hallway, there were 2 doors. I went into them, there were bathrooms, but I gained nothing from it. All there was nothing. No ammo, no health packs, absolutely nothing. This applies to the entire game. Huge maps, a lot of places to go, but no rewards for doing so. Both the subway and factory has these gagillion doors around, and there's no reason to even try to open any of them because it leads to nowhere. Also, there's the open world stages like the factory in Alaska. They're so empty. Not only as it doesn't reward you for exploring, as in you have to walk all this land with nothing to see. It's almost like going to Gmod, loading up the default city map, then just walking around it. That's basically how it feels. Just empty, silent, and boring. At least Alaska has the snipers, which we'll talk about in a minute, but every other open stage is just pointless. It could have been compromised. It could have been large enough to feel big, but small enough to not feel like a waste of time. And then there's the driving stage, which is just empty times 100. It's so much larger than it needs to be, and all for no reason. No wonder this game takes minutes to load. But what if you had to play those stages without a car? Let's talk about the warehouse in Alaska. These two are easily the worst stages of the game. Let's start with the warehouse. Besides all the points I made about empty spaces, it has absolutely no direction where to go. At least the subway is huge and annoying, but you can find your way through, or even the city before it, but the warehouse has no clear path. It's a clusterfuck of areas you can go to. The only way to find your way is by going every possible spot until you hit the loading screen. The first part, you're supposed to go this barely visible lighthouse. Once you get to it and climb the ladder behind it, you're stuck on top of it until you get blown up. Then you have to swim for minutes to a dock, and then just get lost. I'm not even joking, there's no hints as where to go. Oh yeah, just to make it even worse, explosive drones that blows up near you or chasing you, and a gunship. What you're supposed to do is to jump in this random boat, which the only clue that matters is this random light, and jump onto this platform. But oh yeah, did I mention that a platform also damages you? The only way I could beat this area was to kill every robot, then use a barrel's protection, and then jump directly onto the ladder to not touch the death floor. If I have to do these many steps to just normally finish a session of the game, then it just means terrible. It could have been an open warehouse, but with a distinct path of light or something to show you where to go, and be a lot smaller to not waste your time and overwhelm you. Then comes the Arctic. Besides suffering the most from the open world, it suffers from having insta-kill enemies, in this case the snipers. Which sucks because at least in warehouse I could use a barrel to protect myself, while here you can only run for your life. The only way I could actually do it was through dodging every shot by walking the opposite way every time, or using the dash, and then the horrible directions of this is in another level. It just straight up directs the player to areas they're not supposed to actually go to, or at least not go there first. In the very beginning, before the snipers, you walk towards the big obvious gates. That's not where you're supposed to go. You're supposed to go there in the other side. Then after that, with the snipers, you're supposed to go through this hole in the wall, even though it has all this path to the opposite way. And the end of that path, all you find is ammo. It's not worth it. And this is how the direction goes for the entire game. Everything is too huge with bare minimum or no clue whatsoever as to where to go. Or specifically for Alaska, it misleads the player. But then comes the second part of Alaska, which is easily the worst part of the game. You're just lost in this snowland filled with death zones. All this could be avoided by at least giving the player clear directions where to go. Also, these are the largest maps in the game. You have no idea how long they take to load. They could have been so much smaller and given the same effect of being lost in Alaska. There's also these weird parts that I can just call the standby parts. Areas that you just sit back and drink a beer and you won't have to worry about the game because the AI will just do everything for you. And speaking of which, the enemies in this game are bad. Either they're incredibly easy combined soldiers and zombies, or they're the impossible godlike insta-kill explosive robots and hunters. Look, if you put 8 hunters in your map and think it's challengeable, you have problems, right? The challenge shouldn't come from the amount of enemies, but from the way they work in the environment. When you spam out enemies, it doesn't become a challenge, it just overwhelms and angers the player. Especially when it's hundreds of them. Just look at this. I ran through almost all the enemies and didn't care, and they never actually got to harm me. Both the enemies and the companions only has two functions, run and shoot. They just go up to you and start shooting without worry, or they just stand there and shoot. And it's weird that it's this bad because the source engine can have great AI. Most of the enemies are just reskin of pre-existing Half-Life 2 enemies. How did this happen? The game has a lot of stages, all with surprisingly something unique about them, even if it's bad or not. And I think I should list all the ones I haven't mentioned just to complete and not leave any of it out. The hostel, streets, sewers, the train, City 17, mindless and empty. All you do is walk around, and when something happens, it's already over. Only funny thing about it are the sentries that can't kill you. Also, there's one area that you need to jump on a moving train, and if you don't, you die. What's up with that? Any of the boat areas, just nothing to do here but to listen to Pyrocynical. Forest, no thank you. Antlions, there's a boss but like you can literally just walk past it. Black Mesa East, I've heard people say that this is the best stage in the game, but I disagree. This stage is nothing more than a highway of killing machines, it's boring. Black Mesa, this is surprisingly the best map, because it's so simple that you can't go wrong with it. The same critique I said of all the other levels applies here. They're a lot shorter than Alaska, but it'd be better off shorter with something to see or do besides just stand there and do nothing or just stand there and shoot. And after all that, the game somehow managed to mix all of the horrible elements in one single hold your position level. Besides the horrible AI and awful map design, you have to stand there for 15 minutes real time. The game did this earlier, in which you had to wait a couple minutes, but the audacity of this game to put you through this. I literally had to do nothing. The game gives you sentries, you just place them around and hold one, you're invincible. This final stage is just the absolute shit sandwich of the entire game. This stage is beyond salvation. If it was a couple minutes and had a better challenge, then it would have been alright.
You fucked up.
Voice acting in this game managed to be the absolute best thing ever and the absolute worst thing at the same time. On one hand, you got the YouTubers, the people who tried but obviously are YouTubers, so instead of seeing Nick, I just hear a British man complain about stuff.
An HECU? What are Special Forces doing here? They know the way we are. They know our weaknesses.
Coming! We've been compromised! Oh, Colonel. We are so fucked.
My fellow Americans, as your President and Commander-in-Chief,
And on the other hand, you got the unexperienced people who probably just got offered some cash and they were like, yeah, gotcha fam, and did what they could.
Whoa! Have you lost your fucking mind? Lower that thing. You're gonna blow us all up.
If your mother was alive, she'd be proud of you, son.
My mother's dead?
He offered me a deal, and when I refused to complete his deal, he threatened me with my own daughter.
Stop touching me. Stop touching me. Stop touching me. Not now, Mitchell. Mitchell, stop being weird. Stop touching me.
Then you have Mitch and G-Man, which I still can't believe what good voice actors they are. If there's one good thing about this game, it's these two guys. I've heard people say that Mitch sounds like shit, but honestly, Mike Lawler did a great job that was heavily held back by the animation.
I was about to ask the same question. National Guards?
The captain needs to see what?
Everybody get out! Get out! I said get out!
Mitch, please.
You betrayed me. You used me.
You fucked up my face. You have my permission to die.
almost the whole game he sounds good, but the animation just doesn't match his tone and he just ends up sounding over the top. But I don't exactly blame the voice actor, I blame mostly just the animation and the fact that he was given a script written by a 10-year-old. Then there's G-Man. Congratulations to this man for sounding like a perfect G-Man impersonator. Even if he can't sing Mesa right, he's still a really good voice actor.
Yet you are still here. You should have just died there, but here you are. You've proven yourself a man of rare conviction. Well, technically, we were not the one who'd been lying. We asked you to kill Mr. Freeman. We never guaranteed that you would. But liar? No.
I kinda wanna skip the visual design because the game itself looks like shit and the animations are just basic Source Filmmaker stuff with just some errors. I'm not gonna nitpick a few errors in the animation, so I'm just gonna leave it be.
My Johnny.
Now we're on to the best part to talk about, the terrible story and characters. I want to start with the characters. G-Man is absolutely ruined in this. G-Man is a really weird and hard character to pull off. It's gotta be shown and foreshadowed through the entire game. He has to be right there in your face at all times, but only open his mouth when he really needs to. You can well say he's the observer of the story, watching your every move and then giving a final choice, or doing the choices for you. A man of absolute power that we have no clue what he is. To him, it's all business. In Untitled Freeman, he's basically the exposition guy. Every time he shows up is to just point Mitch to the direction of the plot. And he's just described as a joker really. G-Man doesn't give a damn about what's happening, he just likes messing with people. There's this line about him doing this to allow Gordon to achieve his goal, but it kinda doesn't help because that just feels like a forced tiny and not a genius thought of the possibility. It just comes off as, yes Mitch, I like fucking with you, good day sir. He's just portrayed as the man in control of every piece of the board, while in Half-Life he's a businessman assuring the job is done. Nick, which was voiced by Hate Everything, is a stupid character. He's kinda just there. All he ever really did is be there to point out Mitch's cards and doubt his commands. Besides that, he didn't have much of a character besides being somehow Asian and British at the same time. It would have been cool if he was Mitch's sidekick and been through all the game, but having his own opinion on the matter. He does face Mitch about going to C-17, but that's about it. Adam was a weird guy. He also was just there, but instead of doubting Mitch, he was like that guy that says, "Lol, you mad bro?" He just feels empty to the point that when he matters to the plot, it just comes out as surprising, just the fact that he actually matters to the scale. Because I don't know what to say, it feels stupid that this dumb guy actually matters. It would be so cool if he was the hothead of the group and not just there. Oh boy, quick roll cast. All these characters on the screen are soulless, they're just there to fill in the quota. Different on Nick and Adam, that at least they impact the plot in some ways. All these guys might as well not be there. None of them really leaves any impression besides being voiced by YouTubers. Like the present Keemstar scene might as well just be a discussion between Mitch, Nick and Adam. All the side characters are just empty vessels, just there to move forward, even though they don't do anything for the plot. I understand that characters don't need to impact the plot to be good, like all the civilians without premonition. None of them matters to the overall plot, but they're all so charming and full of life that it doesn't matter if they matter to the plot or not. They have their own plot, like the Pot Lady. It's simple and stupid, but it gave us a character to remember. I can't name a single character trait of Untitled Freeman characters besides either voiced by a YouTuber or Angie. The most original one is Boris, and that's only because he's the only Russian sounding character. Besides that, they're all so pointless. It would have been great if they all had a unique personality through character traits rather than just voice actors. If the character doesn't have good lines to give them life, then they might as well be mute, even the character only have one personality trait each. It's better than no personality.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Like, I just want to mention, I didn't mention Mitch during the character session because the main plot is basically his character, so I'm just gonna do that instead. It all begins with the birth of the Shepherd brothers. Oh yeah, did I mention that Mitch and Shepherd from opposing force are brothers? Anyway, the mother kills herself, Mitch and Adrian is separated, Mitch joins the military and sent to Black Mesa. There he is attacked by Freeman, a total sadistic, and gets his face destroyed by his crowbar. He wakes up in the hospital being offered a deal by the G-Man, which he offers that he'll let him live and get a chance of revenge on Freeman. Mitch escapes the hospital and meets up with Nick, which he tells him about the war with Combine has been happening for 2 hours and the people evacuating through the subway. In the way Mitch meets Adam, Black Ops that is planning to escape through the subway as well. Mitch gets to the subway, Adam meets up with Nick and Colonel Q. They take a train that is attacked by gunships, which Mitch takes them down single-handedly with a minigun. Everyone but a few soldiers, Mitch, Nick, and Adam survives. They go to a factory to get resources, then to a boat to go to the sea so the Combine can find them. They're attacked immediately after. 3 years later, when they get to New Alaska to get the advantage over the Combine, Mitch meets Boris, administrator of Children's Slavery Combine Factory. Mitch burns down the place and takes the children for himself. And after all those years, in Mitch's boat, a crowbar is found. His soul takes over and G-Man meets up with him to charge him for the deal he made. So he starts a hunt for Freeman by joining the Combine. Mitch meets Boris again, which accepts his deal to work with them and send them on a mission on Black Mesa East to find Freeman. After a long walk and getting taken by the rebels, Mitch is visited by Boris' daughter, Sasha, which is killed by Adam, and he's revealed to be a traitor. They escape the prison, Mitch meets G-Man again, which reveals to Mitch that all this time, Adam was the man that fucked up his face in Black Mesa. Why? That's just asking too much, the game doesn't answer questions. Mitch finds his way to a Combine fortress and is rescued by Nick. He hunts down Adam and gets his revenge. Then he tells Nick to go to the Borealis and that's the game. That's the whole story. What to say about the plot? It's trash. The whole plot is a generic revenge plot with nothing special going for it. With a platform like it has, the possibilities are endless. The plot could have been great, but it forgets what it's supposed to be through almost the entire game and only comes back to it in the final moments. Like, what? In a game called Hunt Down the Freeman, Mitch just talks about how he let go of the anger against Freeman.
Whatever it takes, whoever it takes, however long it takes before I die, I will fucking kill you.
Take it all back. I don't want it. I don't want the power, the authority, not even the time. I just want it to end. Freeman can go to hell.
There's just 20 steps back on what his character's supposed to be. And after all that, he brags about being the villain, even though he just talked about letting go of it.
I always saw you as a hero after that day.
Hero? You're talking to a villain, my dear. The hero inside of me died many, many years ago when I was young.
This plot doesn't know what it wants to be, so it just tries to be everything at once and fails at being any of it. It could have been simple and straightforward, just going after Freeman. It's a real letdown of a plot, and I really believe it could have been a good story. Also, what is up with the Borealis at the end of the game? How would Mitch even know it exists? And it isn't like it's mentioned earlier in the game. That was just a dumb, unneeded cliffhanger.
Ready for your orders, Captain.
Turn the ship. We're going to Borealis.
The entire game doesn't know what it wants to be. It wants to be like a modern FPS with hip, cool mechanics. But it also wants to be an old FPS that you just run and shoot. It wants to be a mysterious and interesting plot, but it has no idea how to keep that up.
Take it all back. I don't want it.
You get the point. The game is broken and a horrible mess that should have never have been released with a price tag on it. I feel sorry for the people that worked on it. I hope the paycheck was worth it at least. The game is glitchy, it's horribly designed, horrible visuals, terrible audio.
Whoa! Have you lost your fucking mind? Lower that thing. You're gonna blow us all up.
An awful plot. Nothing in this game makes sense. I honestly want to like this game, but it's done so poorly that I can't even like it. Don't buy it unless for the memes, and even then it's not worth it. If you want numbers, here you go. If I would play it again, maybe when bad and there's nothing to do now. I came back to this game excited, hoping that I was ignorant back then, that I just compared too much to Half-Life. I judged this game today its own merits without comparing to Half-Life, and it was still goddamn terrible. I didn't want to compare it because that's more like saying this game is good rather than saying this game is bad. And it was really hard writing the script because so much can be said, yet nothing is said about this game. The game is so empty and hollow that it's hard to talk about it. So much could be improved with enough time and dedication, a good plot, better map design, and great gameplay. But I don't think that's ever gonna happen. Also, congratulations to Frank for getting a marketing job on Blizzard. Look, if you manage to make good sales with Hunt Down the Freeman, then you might as well get a job on any sort of marketing. I think that's it for this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. This took me quite a few months, a lot of tears playing that game and efforts writing and editing this. You have no idea how much time I cried on the Alaska stage. I have no idea when's the next video. I am working on one. I am working on a review of a show, but I seriously have no idea when that's coming out. God fucking knows. I have to watch like 10 hours of a show. So thanks for watching. Subscribe with the bell on so you can see a trailer for my next video or when it comes around. You can join the Discord server, links down below, and there's my Twitter. You can follow me there. I post a lot of art, maybe some furry titties, and I'll see you on next time.